this practice, I invite you to go very gently to your edge. So not quite the same edge that you would have in a yang yoga practice, but rather you want to go to where you can relax your muscles so that you begin to access the connective tissue and the fascia, and then inviting yourself to stay a while in this position. So maybe around 75 to 80% of your edge, so that you are able to luxuriate there and find a little bit of coolness in the body as opposed to intensity and heat. Accessing a little bit more of a feminine, of a lunar energy, and allowing our joints and our deeper tissues to get a little bit of release. So our first posture is going to be child's pose, and for the purposes of this practice, you can grab a pillow, maybe a little bit of a thicker pillow, like a bolster, maybe several pillows, and I have my mat strap, which keeps it rolled up, but it also doubles as a strap for the purposes of our stretching today. So let's get into our child's pose first. We're going to be holding here for about 5 minutes. I'm going to set my timer, and let's bring the knees really wide. The toes, big toes, touch on the inside. You're welcome here to place, say, the cushion underneath your hips, your sit bones, or you can place it, I'm going to place it where my forehead is going to go. Arms are about shoulder width distance. And just start to settle in here. You can roll your hips left and right. We're going to be holding here for about 5 minutes. So let your arms go wide. You can also let the arms relax down the sides with the palms facing up. And come into stillness here. If your hips aren't quite seated onto your heels, that's fine. You can widen your knees and just allow yourself to sink and settle into the posture. Additionally, you can do cactus arms here if you prefer. And then just let the belly hang in between the thighs. Eventually, too, for example, I might want to remove this cushion and let my forehead rest on the floor as my neck and my spine start to release. About a minute into it so far, so get comfortable, start to find stillness. And begin to deepen the breath here. We want to access the Maharaja Pranayama, which is the 3-part breath. So starting with a deep inhale, feel the side body expand. Maybe you start to lengthen out the spine, fill the lungs, hold the breath in. And as you exhale, let the hips sink toward the heels. Try to keep the length in the spine. Again, I might put my pillow back into the place and to let my chest and my even throat open as my spine start to lengthen. So let's try that 3-part. You can even make this a 4-part breath. Inhaling, holding for a moment with the lungs filled. And exhaling, letting the hips sink back toward the heels, maybe holding for a moment with the lungs empty. Alright, we're about halfway through here. Start to be still at your depth. And again, notice what comes up for you as you find stillness in the posture. And sometimes it's a little bit harder to avoid adjusting and micro-engaging than it is to just be still. But we do our asana, yang practice to prepare the body for stillness. So this is something of a bridge between meditation and asana. finding deep stillness in each posture. Preparing for total stillness and meditation. Even preparing for the stillness with a pranayama exercise. About a minute or so left, so breathe into your stretch here. Let your spine lengthen with every inhale. And let the corners of the back soften with every exhale. It's okay to not have energy through the fingertips and toes. You can let the fingers be soft. About 30 seconds. Maybe enough time for one deep, slow breath. Preparing for exit, a major principle of yin is to exit gently, slowly. So remove any prop you had under your forehead. Let your head come down to the floor. Just lightly roll the forehead left and right, right and left. Massaging into the brow. I know maybe you're feeling it in your calves and your ankles. You might want to come right out, but we're going to go into a shoulder stretch. So you'll take your right arm underneath your left armpit, bring your right ear to the floor, and plant your right palm on the outside of the left edge of your mat. You can let your head come down, or you can even let your forehead stay down. It's a little bit more intensity into that right shoulder. We're only staying here for about 1 minute. See if you can soften your face. If you find yourself clenching your jaw or furrowing your brow in any yin posture, it's a sign to reverse a little, go out 10, 15%. Go where you can find a radiant expression in the face. Let's take one more breath here. Pressing into your left palm, inhale, come back to center. Stretch that right arm out. Take the left palm facing your face, underneath the right armpit, slide it through. You can bring your left ear to the floor. Option to turn your left palm down to the mat. It's a little bit of a deeper stretch into the armpit, but you're welcome to keep that left palm facing up as well. Reach forward with your right arm. Again, remember you can let your forehead rest down for a little less of a stretch on the neck. Taking a couple deep breaths. Alright, and when you're ready, bring that right hand in close to your face. Press into your palm. Press onto both hands. Come up to a seated position. We're going to begin with an ankle stretch. So for the purposes of this posture, you can bring your toes, heels together. You can bring your knees onto your knees together. And you will feel free to sit on the cushion in between your hips and heels if this is a little bit intense. You're going to sit here, take a breath, and then we're going to stretch the ankles. So tense your left fingertips on the outside of the left hip. Take your right hand to your right knee and lift that right knee away from the floor. Try to keep your bottom ribs in, your shoulders over the hips. And we're going to hold here for about 1 minute. Try to keep the shoulders nice and level, belly in. A little bit of engagement in your right arm, but not a terrible lot. As you pull here, you can start to feel something release inside your pelvis. So notice if you're clenching in your pelvic floor, Try to release that and see what that does for the last half of this stretch. Deep breath. More. With your exhale, you can start to relax that right knee down. Shift a little weight onto your right side. Tense your right fingertips close to your right hip. Grab onto your left knee and pull your left knee in toward your chest. Notice how you kind of lean into your right side, as I said before. Start to level out the weight again. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Slight activation in that left arm as well as in the core. Shoulders over hips. Keep breathing. You can start to add a little bit of a backward lean to stretch more into that left ankle. We have about halfway left, so start to hold in stillness at your deepest point. Make sure you're not dumping into the lower spine. Keep a little bit of lift out of the low back. Relax your pelvic floor. And with your exhale, relax that left knee down. Now roll forward onto your palms. Bring your toes as wide as your mat and press back into a malasana, which will be a counter stretch for that ankle stretch that we did. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes. You are welcome. If you have a block, if you have a really thick book, you can sit your hips onto that book. I can also pull this cushion over and sit my hips onto the cushion for a little bit more access into the lower spine. So while you want to make sure the weight is even in both feet, try to drop your shoulders away from your ears. Maybe bring your hands into a prayer. Maybe lean a little back into your sit bones. Know that this is going to look really different for everyone, depending on your body proportions, depending on what other exercise you do. So if you feel like it, you can start to turn your toes out wider if it's feeling really intense on the inner thighs or the calves. Feel free to widen the legs there. If you're a little bit more open in the hips, you can start to turn your toes in, lean the weight a little bit more forward. We're halfway through this posture. Try to lift up out of your lower spine with each inhale. With each exhale, settle the weight into the sit bones. Keep the length in the spine. Always seeking softness in the face. And there are certain practices where we practice the entirety with the eyes closed, such as in Shavasana yoga. Think in yin, it's also welcome here to close the eyes, find softness in the face. Find coolness in the muscles. And about 3 more breaths, a little under 1 minute to go. Maybe going a little bit deeper if you're feeling it. And just notice what arises in the body, what comes to the mind. Notice whatever you're noticing. This will be the most heat-producing yang our practice can get. So the next is a counter stretch, both in Malasana, and we're going to have 1 more minute in Malasana after this. You're going to roll your weight forward into your fingertips, bring your knees together, tuck your 10 toes under. You can manually release your outer little toes, pinky toes out, big toes touch if possible, heels touch. And being very gentle with this posture, you can start with your hands on the floor to take some weight out of the heels. You can sit your hips back down onto your heels. If that all feels fine in the feet, we're only going to hold here for about 2 minutes. you can begin to sit your weight back onto your heels, stack your shoulders over your hips, maybe bring your hands into prayer at the heart center. You're welcome to hold at any point from here to here. So if you want to rest your hands on your middle thighs, make sure you're not putting too much weight on your knees. Maybe you just want to put semi-weight on the thighs. Maybe you want to have some blocks on either side or big thick books to support you on either side. Or if it feels okay, I have about a minute left. Again, this is a bit intense, so try to find softness in the face. Try to find space in the lower spine. And this toe squat here, activating the gallbladder meridians as well as the spleen, the kidney. With each inhale, lengthening out of the lower spine. And with your exhale, sinking a little heavier. Taking one more breath here. It's probably starting to feel pretty intense. Squeeze your heels back together here at the end. Bring your weight back into the palms if it's not already. We're going to bring the feet wide once more. Roll back, plant the soles. Again, take your seat on whatever prop you have available. Get your hips supported. And this time, don't worry, we're not going to do as much with the weight back in the heels. We're going to bring the weight a little bit more forward. So you're going to interlace your 10 fingers. Bring the hands to the base of the skull. You can let your elbows stay really wide, or you can start to bring the elbows together. Keep your hips down on the block and drop your head forward. Get a little bit of a neck stretch. Maybe if your elbows touch the floor, or if you have a book that you can place the elbows on, you're welcome to do that too. Again, this is the most active that we're going to be when we're going to come to full standing posture. So breathe with it here. We have about 30 seconds left. Try to keep your heels grounded. I know it's easy to roll forward. One more breath. Great. Release your hands to the floor. Press yourself up. Remove the prop from underneath and sit your hips down onto the floor. Stretch your legs out for a second. This should feel really good. You can drum the backs of the knees down. Maybe have a sip of water if you like, keeping those muscles cool. Next, we're going to get a little bit deeper into the hips. You might want your strap for this posture. So we'll start with the left leg extended, and then the right knee stacking on top of the left. So your right heel will come somewhere close toward your hip. Again, if you have a cushion, a block, something that you want to put in between your knees here, if it's a little bit much on the hip, feel free. And from here, we have a few arm options. So first arm option, you can catch your opposite elbow to start to fold forward. Second arm option, you can hold on to the strap with the right hand. Bring that right elbow up over the top of your head, and then your left hand reaches around back of the hand toward the spine, and then hold on to the strap. Maybe walk the hands in just a hair, not too intense on the shoulders. You want to keep your bottom ribs in and start to fold your chest to your knee. At whatever distance you get, that's totally fine. Use as many pillows as you need. You can also take another pillow and put it between your chest and your leg. And we're gonna hold here for about 2 minutes. We're already about 45 seconds into it. So just breathe. I know it can feel a little bit intense on that left leg, so feel free to flex, point, soften your left toes as needed. about a minute left, so if you want to go a little bit deeper, maybe remove a prop or two, go ahead. And remember, you can also just be grabbing the opposite elbows behind here as well. Try to keep both your hips down on the floor. Enough time for about 2 more deep breaths. Working into the triple warmer, pericardium here, stretching the lungs located in the back of the body. One more breath. And slowly using your hands on the strap or grabbing onto the opposite elbows to help you come up. We're going to do a quick counter stretch before we do the other side. So we'll plant the right foot on the floor, flex the left toes toward your face, right hand to the base of the spine, left elbow hooks over. You can also grab onto your left shin if that feels okay. We're going to hold here in a spine twist for about 1 minute. You can keep that left foot a little bit soft. Stay long in your spine. Keep both sit bones on the floor, but try to stay long out of your lower spine, about halfway through. Notice what you're clenching. Can you relax it? Try to press your right hip, right foot into the floor. Getting really deep into the large, small intestines, to the liver. One more breath. Inhale, untwist, and moving on to the other side. So stretch your right leg forward. Take your left knee stacked on top of your right, your left foot somewhere off to the right edge of your mat. The cushion, the block, the book, whatever in between both knees if it suits you. And again, maybe you grab your opposite lower forearm, elbow, lift up, and then fold forward. Or if you want a little bit more into that left shoulder, hold on to the strap with the left hand. Reach back behind you, walk your right hand up the strap toward your left, elbows over your head, and begin to fold. Flex your toes toward your face. Try to keep your both hips on the floor. Be here for about 2 minutes. Maybe a minute and a half from this point. Always using the breath, the inhale to create space, to invite love, healing, grace. Allowing every exhale to root you deeper into the posture, especially since our root chakra at the very base of the spine is grounded into the floor here. Feel that connection to the earth. Feel supported in both your hips. Again, pericardium, lung, kidney stimulation of the meridians here. Softness in the face. About a couple more breaths. Use your hands on the strap or each other to help yourself come up with your next inhale. Gently bring your arms separate. Remove the prop. Plant your left foot on the outside of your right leg. Bring the left hand to the base of the spine. The right elbow hooks over. The palm can stay facing up, or you can grab onto your shin Try to keep a little bit of an engagement in the core, shoulders over hips, in this twist for 1 minute. And remember, just because you can look over your left shoulder doesn't mean you have to, so maybe just have your gaze to the left side wall. Steady breath here. Both sit bones grounded, anchoring into the root chakra for petaled lotus, visualizing stable square or cube form in the pelvic bones. About 1 more breath. With an inhale, untwisting back to the center. Now both legs forward. If you're having a little bit of tingling in the legs, you can drum the backs of the legs down. And we're going to come into our caterpillar pose, which is going to be for about 5 minutes. So this is a long one. Get your hips nice and wide. You can have your feet about hip width. This is a great opportunity to thread maybe the strap across the soles of the feet and have it somewhere on either side of the calves and knees. Take your pillow, maybe place it between your thighs and your belly. Start to fold forward. If you like here as well, you can bend the knees and just have the belly on the thighs. Take as many cushions as you need between your belly and thighs, maybe even your chest and your knees. You can walk your hips out. This is a long posture, so you want to get settled and semi-comfortable here. Never all the way comfortable, but pretty close. If you happen to have ankle weights or a sandbag, this is one of the postures where a sandbag on that middle to lower spine is just divine. If you have somebody who can come and push on your lower back, even better. Or just start to settle in here. Maybe with your imagination, your energy, your attention, just stimulate a sensation in the body as if I'm coming over and pushing on your middle to lower spine. With each exhale, finding some softness. Again, keeping our roots anchored to the earth here. We just had a solstice and a supermoon, both of which vitalize the earth. So just imagine absorbing Earth's energy as she enters her peak, which can also be very young energy at this time of year. So especially at the peak of summer, peak vitality, always important to balance those long solar days with a cooling lunar practice such as this. Prioritize yin in the warmer months over the cold. Don't worry about having your feet flexed. Don't worry about having straight legs. Make sure that your neck is comfortable for sure. So if you feel like you are overstretching the neck, maybe slightly tuck your chin into your chest. Maybe let the arms rest down at the sides. We still have about a little under 3 minutes left. Use this long hold as an opportunity to find some space. To find where you can soften. Halfway through here. Maybe removing one of your props if you have several. the stretch all into the spine by having the arms down at the sides. Just try to keep your shoulders dropped. And see what more you can soften in your pelvis and your abdominals. Just like any other asana practice, it's an exploration, but here we're exploring depth of stillness within the posture itself. Let's take a few more deep breaths. One more breath. Bring your hands to either side of your hips. Press yourself up slowly. Lift your chin away from your chest. Gently, slowly. Now let's take the hands to the outsides of the knees. Draw the soles of the feet together. Bring your knees wide. You can bring your feet and your knees into more of a diamond shape so that you have a good amount of space away with the hips and the heels. You'll bring your cushion in between your chest and your feet. Again, as many cushions, block support as you need. And we're going to come forward for another long stretch, this time butterfly. With the chest on the legs, maybe the forehead slightly tucked. Maybe introducing, since this is a longer posture, you can add a little bit of a neck stretch. Bring your right ear to the pillow or the cushions. Soften here. If this is feeling really intense on your knees, you may also place some blocks right on the insides of your knees toward your calves at any height that suits you here. See if you can relax your pelvic floor once again. Relax the soles of your feet. About a minute in here. Let's switch sides. Bring your left ear to the pillows. Look great. Relax your shoulders away from the ears. Again, you may feel free to draw your arms down the side, which will also add a little bit of weight onto your thighs to open up if you like. Anything that suits you here. Notice how you instinctively clench the pelvic floor, the inner thighs. Gradually, just like dipping your toes into a cool pool, just ease into softness in that region, in your inner thighs, your groin. And bring your face back to center. Tuck your chin into your chest. Let your forehead rest at any height. Pelvis. See if you can lengthen out of that middle spine. We're just about halfway through here. Notice the range of intensities that your body is capable of feeling, even as you're sitting here doing relatively nothing. still able to create some depth of sensation, some intensity within the body with stillness. Just about 1 minute left. Take your final deep breath in this posture. Your next inhale, press your palms into the floor. Push yourself up, remove your props. Take your hands to the outsides of the knees, draw your knees together. Draw your heels close in toward your hips. Stretch out of the lower spine. Draw your forehead to your knees. Give yourself a little stretch here. Create space in your pelvis. And release. We're going to come into a bit of a wrist shoulder stretch coupled with a hip opener. So you're going to plant your left foot flat on the floor. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Try to keep your right knee away from you. Turn your fingertips in toward your body, about 1 foot away from your hips. Now this might be enough. Try to keep the heels of your hands down on the floor. Keep your elbows in toward each other. As you want a deeper stretch, you can begin to bend your elbows more. Keep your lower belly in. Try to lengthen out of your lower spine as you bend your elbows. The elbows in, keep the shoulders down. It's just about a 1 minute stretch. Let's take one more breath. To straighten out your elbows, plant your right foot on the floor, cross your left ankle over your right knee. Try to keep that left knee in line with the ankle from the side. And again, bend your elbows back. If you like, you can turn your fingertips away from you. Start to bend your elbows that way, working into the fronts of the shoulders. But if you're enjoying that previous stretch, feel free to stay there. And the folds of the elbows, the outer part of the elbow moving in toward one another. Let's take one more breath. Slowly start to straighten your elbows, hands back close to your sides, uncross that ankle from around the knee. We're going to come into a wide-legged stretch, so bring your left heel to the left edge, right heel to the right edge. Don't go as wide as you possibly can. Again, 70 to 85%. Take your cushions, your support, everything, and just walk your hips out. Try to get as much of your sit bones down on the floor. Know that you can keep your knees bent here as well. You can have the feet in pretty close to the body. And we're just going to reach the arms forward. You can let your head hang. This isn't a super long one, about 3 minutes. Again, use as many supports as you need to get some support under the belly and the chest. Feel free to keep your knees bent, your feet soft here. About 2 minutes to go. If if you would like to activate some release, in fact, on your inner thighs, you can try engaging your left glute and then your right glute. Just alternating left and right glute. Feel what that does for your either inner thigh. About 1 minute left here. Start to hold a little bit stiller, deepen and lengthen the breaths. Really feeling the breath like velvet or satin, just luxuriating that space, smooth and cool within. Time for about one deep 3-part Maharaja Pranayama. And slowly start to walk yourself out. Put your hands back. Let's move the cushion out of the way. We're going to draw the knees in, bring the feet together, knees touch. Quickly windshield wiper your legs. Gently roll the hips left and right. Alright, and from here, let's make our way onto our bellies for a little bit of back bending, some Sphinx pose. So bring your feet about as wide as your mat. Tops of the feet flat, grab onto your opposite elbows and start to drop the shoulders away from the ears. Bring the forearms back to the floor. And I like to think about melting sensation here. I felt all the way, everything below the waist. So soften your legs, even soften your glutes. A little bit of activation with the palms on the floor, helping to keep you lifted through the arms. Scapula slipping in and down. Softly rotating the shoulders inward. And chin stays parallel to the floor for now. We have about 2 minutes left in this posture, so you're welcome to stay in your Sphinx pose. If you have regular practice or you just have a really flexible back, you want to go a little bit deeper, start to turn your fingertips out to the corners of your mat, press into your palms, straighten your elbows here, keep your elbow crooks in toward one another, drop your shoulders down away from your ears, relax your legs behind you, and maybe start to look up in this last minute or so. Keep a lift out of the middle spine. Try to keep your chin slightly in. Let's take about one more slow breath. Slowly, if you were on your palms, exhale, come back down onto your elbows. And next we're gonna do a shoulder, a little bit of the chest and back opening stretch. So let's draw the knees in a little bit. The hips are up to the ceiling, hips are over the knees. Walk your elbows forward, and again, feel free to use your prop here underneath your elbows. Again, you can have your hips closer back toward your heels. Get your elbows down on the floor and begin to draw your hands in prayer back toward your heart. You can have your forehead down in between the elbows. If you're a little bit more back bendy, you can bring your chest down to the floor. We're only going to be here for a couple minutes or so. Try to keep your feet separate. Your heart relaxed down toward the floor. This is a great upper spine stretch. Releasing the lower spine, working into the shoulders. It's also great for the lungs. It's great for any lymph node irritation or difficulty of draining lymph nodes in the armpits and the clavicles. So focus on taking deep breaths into the side body. Another wonderful pericardium stretch. A little under a minute left. Take one more deep breath. Very slowly start to release your arms back down on the floor. Press your palms, walk your hands into the body. Let's sink the hips back onto the heels for a second. Take a counter stretch, child's pose. Forehead down, knees wide. Notice what you're feeling, notice that intensity. About one more breath here. Alright, and let's make our way onto our backs for our final stretching exercises. Roll onto your hips. You will want your strap and maybe your cushion for this one. My dog's looking at us, he might make an appearance. So let's come to lay flat. And we're going to take the strap, bend the right knee into the chest, create a loop with your strap and get it over the sole of your right foot. Start to stretch your right foot up to the ceiling. You want the strap at a length where both your shoulders are flat on the floor and your left thigh is also comfortably down on the floor. So if your left leg feels a little uncomfortable, you can bend that left knee and plant the left foot flat, as long as your both hips stay down. Feel free to experiment with flexing your toes or relaxing your foot. Also, if it's a little bit much for your both shoulders to hold on with just one side, you can also loop the strap around and hold on with both hands on either side. Keep your shoulders down, whatever you do. And we're gonna hold here for about 2 minutes. 1 minute each part, because there are gonna be 3 parts. So I'm gonna keep that right leg up. Try to relax your pelvic floor. You can use the breath here with every inhale, maybe drawing it in. With every exhale, softening that right leg. Use the breath, inhale, drawing it in. Exhale, softening the right leg. Feels maybe a bit counterintuitive. Let's have one more breath. Drawing it in, softening it and holding in stillness. Now anchoring all four corners of the back down on the floor. This time, if you weren't already holding the strap into just your right hand, bring your left hand out to the left side with the palm facing down. We're going to draw that right leg out to the left side. Make sure that your left hip stays down on the floor, so even if that means you plant your left foot still, or your right foot isn't all the way down on the ground, you can also take your cushion and support your right hip there. Feels really good. And you still get a stretch on the inner thigh. Lets you get a little bit more gravity into that right leg. Just breathe here. It's not too long. Just a few more breaths in this expression. Notice if you can relax your jaw, take one more breath, find a smile inside the mouth. Press into your left palm, bring the right leg back to center. Now you're going to catch the strap with just the left hand. All the way down at the bottom as much as you need to keep the shoulders comfortable. This time the right hand is going to go out to the right side, and you're going to cross that right leg over the left side body into a spine twist. Keep your right shoulder down on the floor. Keep your gaze centered. If you like, you can look over your right shoulder, but again, if that feels like an overexertion, if it feels too crunchy, totally fine to keep your gaze on the ceiling. Stretching into your hips and hamstrings here. Just about one more breath. Inhale, bring your right leg back to center. Bend your right knee to your chest. Remove the strap. Give it a quick hug in. Both shoulders down. Both hips down. Relax that right leg as you hug it in. Relax the right side belly as you melt the right side into the floor. And with your exhale, relax the right leg down. Let's catch the strap around the sole of the left foot. Remember, you can plant your right foot on the floor, bend the right knee if you need. And do the left side. Both shoulders, both hips on the floor. Use the breath with every inhale, work it in. With every exhale, soften that leg, keeping the depth of stretch. Inhale, work it in. Exhale, soften. Just a couple more breaths here. Inhale, work it in. Exhale, soften and hold. If you use the strap or the cushion underneath your right thigh on the first side, let's bring it out to the left edge of your mat. Get your hip onto that cushion. Stretch your left leg out, right arm out to the side, palm facing down. Hold the strap at whatever length. Try to keep your right hip down. You can place your right hand on your right hip here as well. Find some softness on that left inner thigh. About one more breath. Inhale, bring your left leg back to center. Catch the strap with your right hand. Bring your left arm out to the left side, palm faces down. Gently as you exhale, track that left leg over to the right. Hold the strap at whatever length you need to. Use your hands and your shoulders both anchored on the floor. Maybe even relaxing that left leg. Stay comfortable, mostly. Press into your left palm. Inhale, take your time. Bring that left leg back to center. Bend the left knee in. Remove the strap. Place it off to the side, and now hug your left knee in toward your left side body. Both shoulders, both hips down. Left leg is soft. Left side belly relaxing. Whole left side melting into the mat. One more breath. Alright. Draw both your knees into your chest. Bring your elbows inside your knees, your hands outside your feet. Bring your legs really wide. Try to anchor your lower spine on the floor for a happy baby. We're just going to hold here for about a couple of minutes. Anchor your shoulders and your hips down. If you prefer, you can rock left and right. Try to get the lower spine at least contacting the floor dynamically, if not statically. Hold here for about 1 more minute. Imagine you're squatting on the ceiling. Counterintuitively, try to relax your inner thighs, your calves, even your feet. Maybe slightly tuck your chin in so that your neck is comfortable. Begin to feel that intense sensation on the inner thighs, on the calves. Pranayama. Slowly start to bring your feet, soles in toward each other. Gently bring your hands onto your knees, draw your knees in, hug your knees into your chest just for a moment here. Let's prepare for our final Shavasana. Once again, you can take the cushion underneath your knees this time. Bring your feet wide, heels toward the corners of the mat. Either hands at either side, palms facing up, or one hand on the heart center, one hand on the solar plexus. Elbows comfortable on either side, shoulders soft. Separate your upper lower jaw. Relax your tongue from the roof of the mouth. Unfurl your brow. Swallow a couple times. Relax your throat. With each exhale, feel the muscles of the face moving to the sides of the head. Allow the tongue, the eyeballs to become heavy in the skull. Final Shavasana. Feel all the space that you've created and maintained in the last 60 minutes. Letting integrate that space. Letting every exhale anchor you into the earth. Let yourself be held. Feel gravity like an invisible hug. Again, find a smile on the inside of the face, within the eyes. Feel free to spend the next 5, 10, 15 minutes in this posture. Whenever you're ready to exit, wiggle your toes. Maybe stretch your arms out to the sides. Wiggle your fingertips. Draw the knees into the chest. Roll onto your left side, stack the knees, the elbows. And keeping your eyes closed or softly shut, press yourself up to a comfortable seat. Bring your hands into your heart space. Thank yourself. Your body and I both thank you for all of the space, all of the new prana and vitality that you've created in the last 60 minutes. My name is Whitney. It is my privilege to guide you. Namaste.